Yes, guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson football channel. Chelsea and Leeds, we're kind of over that atrocity now. At least I'm trying to anyway. I'm trying to put it to the back of my mind because tomorrow, Chelsea go to the Vitality Stadium. It's Bournemouth away with an opportunity to bounce back with a win. And fingers crossed, hopefully, for all that is good and holy in this world, we can rely on Aston Villa to get Arsenal to drop some points at Villa Park. Aston Villa have won 8 out of their last 9 matches. So, by all accounts, it isn't without the realms of possibility. So we're going to hope for the very best tomorrow. And as well as that, if you guys want to get anything from the Chelsea online megastore, GBFC10 is your discount code for 10% off. I went for a little trip to London for the Arsenal game. I actually picked this up from a stand outside of Stamford Bridge. But there's currently loads of really cool pieces in the megastore. Speedway collab was pretty cool. I bought the new third kit that I wore against Leeds, and I might not wear that for a while because it's clearly not the lucky kit right now. But make sure you use the link in the description or the QR code on the screen for all your Christmas bits. GBFC10 gets you 10% off your entire online megastore order. So in today's video, I want to talk about Pedro Neto specifically because there are some rumours starting to circulate about him. And as well as that, I want to delve into this rotation conversation again. If you didn't see yesterday's video, Eunice and I broke it down, the Leeds defeat, a little bit more. I know a lot of you by now would rather, hopefully at least, you'd rather look forward as opposed to looking back to what we saw against Leeds. But unfortunately, the problem with Chelsea is, right, as Chelsea fans, we've kind of been just waiting for something to hold on to. It's kind of like, you know, when you're going on the monkey bars and you're just trying to grip what's in front of you. And then when you get a good grip of it, you're like, right, we're a hold of it now. Let's try and move forward again. That's kind of where we've been at right now because the Leeds result isn't a freak result when you think about it. As much as you wouldn't have anticipated or expected it, we've seen this countless times already this year. And we've seen it time and time again under Enzo Maresca. That Leeds defeat was, in my opinion, very resemblant to what we saw away at Ipswich last season, where Liam Delap just, destroyed us on that day, which is probably why we decided to go and buy him. If only we could get that Liam Delap right now. But for Chelsea, there is a lot of scrutiny heading Maresca's way. Now, this is Vince Blue Footy's tweet, and Simon Johnson said this. Maresca will no doubt come under scrutiny for making 5 changes to his first 11. But as has been documented by The Athletic, this is part of a deliberate strategy backed by the club to deal with the load management of players. With another away game at Bournemouth on Saturday, followed by a key Champions League trip to Atalanta next week. Now, I want to unpack this a little bit more because when it comes to load management of certain players, it's important that we acknowledge the great work that's been done to help protect Reece James so that he can stay fit throughout the whole of 2025 and now be renowned as not only one of the best right-backs in the world, but also supposedly one of the best midfielders in the league. Wesley Fofana, another player with a torrid injury record. He's now come back into things, and touch wood, wooden desk, we're doing all right with protecting Wesley Fofana. Now, in my opinion, that is 2 players that are near or should be in the Chelsea starting 11 and the best 11. I don't see how 2 players then equates to 5 changes. Caicedo was sent off, so that's another forced one. That's 3 changes. 3 changes to a team, if you're forced to do that, is fair enough. It's all of the other stuff on top of that where the scrutiny from my side lies. I think it's a great thing that we rotate Wesley Fofana and Reece James because I'd much rather they play 1 in 2 matches than 0 matches for 4 months in a row. It's as simple as that. And I don't think there are many Chelsea fans out there that would disagree with this. I think we understand the reason why. But I think it's the case of when you look at in isolation what happened, right? Caicedo's red against Arsenal. You've got 2 matches in the space of a week. I think it's disrespectful to Leeds United and the rivalry and Chelsea's current position to be like, all right, well, it's Leeds away. Yeah, we got Bournemouth at the weekend, but no Caicedo. Right, yeah, we'll take Wes out the squad. We'll take Reece out the 11. And yet still not put Malo Gusto in there. Not play Josh Atchampong. I don't want to go over the selections because I think it's all pretty much universally agreed that there are other players that should have been picked ahead of Tosin. Simple as that. The other side of this load management strategy is the strategy when it comes to transfers. Now, I'm not saying 100% that this is what's happening, but I wouldn't be surprised if it is. When Chelsea have got the squad that we've got, when we've spent the money that we've spent, I can't help but think that sometimes we have to select players because we are trying to sell them again in the future. And this is where, obviously, this is all theory. This is all me hypothesizing. But I wouldn't be surprised about that whatsoever. Because we're giving players long contracts. We're signing loads of youngsters on these long-term deals. Some of them, they're going to stay. They're going to stick. We're going to keep them. Some of them, we obviously won't because we still need to improve the squad over time. So we can't just have a 35-man squad. It's not the way this works. So my big question here is, how do we manage this better? Because quite frankly, all of these rotations that we keep seeing are inevitably not helping Chelsea's league position. We've got less points than we had at this time last season. We're further away from the league leaders than we were this time last season. By all accounts, that is regression. That isn't progression. After winning 2 trophies at the end of last year, after figuring out ways to beat great sides, PSG, Barcelona, Liverpool. I'm not even going to throw Tottenham into that, but I just wanted to bring that up as well. We've beaten them a couple of times this year too. This is all well and good, but it comes unstuck. The good results and the good draw against Arsenal with 10 men is irrelevant, really, in the grander context of what the actual aim is, right? And I think it's this aim that also needs to be discussed here, because we've also got this coming out of The Athletic too. It should be stressed that Chelsea's target is to finish top 4, and that internally the club did not expect to be in a position to lift the Premier League trophy in May. I hate that all of this is coming out again, but once more, I want to just separate what we're coming and hearing here from The Athletic to Enzo Maresca and what he says. Last season, it was a very negative, almost like dismissing the potential of being in a title race when we actually could have actually gone top of the league. That for me was weird. I think it set the tone in a negative light that we were kind of overachieving, and when everything went wrong, it was like, oh, but that's where we're supposed to be now. This is normal. This is okay. This is the mentality that needs to shift. And I feel like within the players and within the manager, maybe it has shifted to an extent. And Maresca just massively got it wrong against Leeds United. But if internally at Chelsea, right, we're not expecting to be challenging for the Premier League, we're not expecting to be in that conversation, I feel like this is just wrong at this point in time, right? We've spent all of this money. We've won the Club World Cup. We've shown that we can clearly beat these good sides. At what point do the goalposts actually shift? Because I don't know about you lot, but I'm kind of annoyed about this. Internally at Chelsea, I think we should be looking, with all of this money spent, with all of the time, as well as the money, right? It's now how long since we competed properly for the Premier League? When do these goalposts actually shift? I think people should be really disappointed, angry with what happened at Leeds United, and there needs to be not an inquest. I'm not saying fire Enzo Maresca. I know a lot of people that I've read comments from, they want Maresca gone. They think that he is a championship manager still. I think this narrative is nonsense. But I do certainly believe the rotations have got to stop to this level. I don't get how a club like Chelsea that have bought all of these young players, what, they can't play 2 matches in a week? How do every other club deal with these things right now? There's a lot of other teams, right, that don't have the luxury of Chelsea's squad size, of Chelsea's squad quality. Now, I know that there is clearly a disparity between the first 11 and the players that we can bring in. Case in point, Wednesday night, right? But still, totally unnecessary to change half the team. If you need to change 1 or 2 or maybe 3 in a forced case, players, fine. That's very different to half of the side. And I think this is what Chelsea are doing wrong right now. So all of this protection, load management, can we isolate that to the players that actually need it and actually start treating the other players like the footballers of old? I don't get this modern narrative that, oh yeah, we know there's a lot more games. I know it must be taxing for the players, but geez, man, these guys have got the best nutritionists in the world. They've got the best tacticians, supposedly, the best people managing their body, the best people in the gym training them. How on earth can we be sat here complaining that we're struggling to play 2 games a week? That ain't Chelsea. Chelsea are used to competing, going all the way in European competitions and going all the way to the end of the season in the Premier League. So when I start to hear in December these murmurs again about, oh, well, don't worry because we didn't expect to be in a title race. No, flip it. We were in it. And now we're not in it because we bottled it. At what point do we hold people accountable for that? And I think at this point, Maresca's got to be accountable for changing too much at once. And the players need to have a good, long, hard look at themselves. Because if it really is going to be, oh, well, we're a little bit tired. Sorry, boys. Wow, fantastic. Let's see how that excuse goes for Arsenal at the end of this season if they win the Premier League and go all the way in the Champions League. Because we won't be hearing that then, will we? We certainly won't. But anyway, hopefully we turn this around against Bournemouth, and my match preview will be going out later on today. Now, I told you I wanted to talk about Pedro Neto today. And again, not entirely sure on the source, but I can imagine with Geovany Quenda coming in next summer, I do think there's going to be a lot more talk and noise around Pedro Neto. Now, this is from secret source. Make of him whatever you will. Al Nassr and Al Hilal want Pedro Neto. Al Hilal have contacted Neto's agent, but no yes from the player yet. Chelsea would entertain a sale and don't see him as untouchable with Quenda coming in. Chelsea would demand in excess of 80 million euros. Now, I'm talking about Pedro Neto specifically because he is of the older variety, let's say, of Chelsea's wingers. Jamie Gittins is what, 20, 21? Garnacho's very young. Esteval's obviously very young. Geovany Quenda coming in is very young. Mudryk, who the bloody hell knows what's going to happen to this geezer, right? Pedro Neto, until that Leeds game, had played every match this season. Bringing it back to those rotations conversations that we've had throughout yesterday and today's video. 80 million euros for Pedro Neto. I genuinely do think Chelsea would be interested in this, considering what we've got coming in next summer and the very clear, obvious investment that would be necessary in the defence going into next season, by the looks of things. But Pedro Neto is such an important player in this Chelsea squad. He came off the bench against Leeds and he scored. And I think it's very important that, as well as understanding what Chelsea are probably going to do, Quenda coming in, he looks like a fantastic footballer. Esteval, Quenda, that probably is the long-term vision. But players like Neto, if we're talking about all of this load management stuff, well, Pedro Neto is one of those guys that doesn't seem to be 100% on side of rotation. We don't need to do that every game, do we? Because he plays every game. He runs up and down. I think Pedro Neto is underrated at Chelsea. I think he's certainly underappreciated. Yes, he can be frustrating at times when it comes to the final ball and the final pass. The Sunderland game was the most frustrating for me when it comes to inconsistency. But Pedro Neto being sold, he's one of the more experienced members of this Chelsea team, and he's delivering. So I think this would be a poor move from Chelsea. But again, this is the kind of understanding that we need to have of the model that we've got right now. There are going to be sales that we make that we disagree with, and there are going to be sales that we're probably not too fussed or bothered about. I'm seeing a lot of people also talk about Nicholas Jackson and how he could have done better than Pedro and Delap right now. Well, maybe yes, but Nicholas Jackson was also not the answer at Chelsea. So I back the fact that we bought Delap in, we bought João Pedro in to try and come up with what the solution should be. And I also want to say, right, when it comes to João Pedro, we're nearly halfway through the season, and as much as I might have gone back on my words when I said I don't really know what position he is, I don't know what kind of player he is, when we bought him, Club World Cup made me look like a bit of an idiot, but we're now halfway through the season. Do we really know what João Pedro is? Is he a striker? Is he a number 10? Is he going to play back up to Cole Palmer now that Cole Palmer's back? Or is it going to be Delap Pedro rotations up front? Because right now, certainly don't think it should be Delap playing every game up front because he can't hit a barn door and his movement is off. He looks sluggish. So I think Chelsea need to go back to that João Pedro, Cole Palmer playing just behind him combo that we saw work so well against PSG. And I'm still holding on to that game to show what this team can do. Now, when it comes to the rotations right now, Enzo Maresca, in my opinion, has got to figure out those combinations on the field that work. Figure out those partnerships that are good. And if that is Badiashile and Achampong playing centre-back one game, Fofana Chalobah playing centre-back the next game, cool. Don't go shifting everybody around so that players that never play together start playing together. That's where this is going wrong. Pick the combos, stick with the combos, and there are certain players out there, Cucurella being another one, clearly doesn't need a rest. All of this load management stuff, I get it, but isolate that to Lavia, James, and flipping Wesley Fofana, please. This can't be the case for the whole squad. Otherwise, we might as well just step out of the Champions League. Now, we don't want to be in that because we're focusing on the league. It's nonsense, man. Absolute nonsense. So, let me know your thoughts on Pedro Neto. I don't really know if there's any truth to these rumours right now, but I wouldn't be surprised. If Chelsea are going to be selling any of the wingers, it will probably be Pedro Neto. Is that the right thing? I don't think so. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. As we said at the start of the video, if you want to get anything right now from the Chelsea Online Megastore, GBFC 10 gets you 10% off everything, even all of the full-priced Vapor Match, flipping kits, whatever it is. Thank you guys for watching this video. Come on, you Blues.